Hey guys, in today's video we're here at my wisteria tree again. I did find out a couple things about it. When I was given it, the man who gave it to me told me it was a Wisteria floribunda. Apparently that's a Japanese wisteria. One way you can tell is they have longer sets of flowers, and when they coil around something, they go in a clockwise direction. Now, American and Chinese versions do counterclockwise, and the Japanese and Chinese versions of wisteria can get big, like I'm talking 100 feet plus is what it says online. And in my experience, anything that's given a happy home will grow bigger than what it says online. So you might need to do some pruning, or definitely have something, I'd say metal or thick wood, that's going to hold up to this if you're planning on trellising it. If you put it on a fence, that's something you need to take into consideration. If the fence is flimsy or not very stable on its own, this will probably knock it over because it is heavy. And they do grow thick. You can see here, that base is about, I don't know, 6 to 8 inches around, and it is only about 7 years old, so that's something else you need to take into consideration. I've had this one here for about 5 years on my property. Where I got it from, they had it for about 3 or 4 years, and I mean, it grew to the top of their 2-story house and started knocking down their stacked stone from the house. Another way you can tell this is Japanese variety is because, remember, like I said, it started blooming from the tips and went down the plant. You can see there's one that's just about to open. Apparently that's another aspect of the Japanese. They start blooming from the top down, so you can see that they have the longest bloom period of all the wisterias, which is really nice. There is said to be a triple blooming wisteria, but I've never seen it, so I would like to get one at one point, but I think I might need a bigger yard first. You can see this one here is a very light purple. I mean, I guess it is kind of dark purple at the tips, but it fades to a white and it has a slightly yellow throat. The bark on this, like I showed you, it's just nothing fancy. It's a gray bark. I will show you my American variety. Like I said, I do have one of those. Now this one is called Amethyst Falls. It doesn't get nearly as big. I did mention that the Japanese and Chinese variety can grow up to 100 feet. This one grows about a third the size and about a third the growth rate, so it is definitely smaller. It's less invasive. Along the east coast and in wet forests along the eastern part of the US, you will find this growing in bogs and along riverbeds. It does have a slightly different smell. It's not nearly as fragrant, and it doesn't smell as pleasant as the wisteria that I have on the other side. That one I just want to bury my face in it. You can see here on the flowers, they are a little bit darker. This one here has, if you can see, kind of some darker purple veining on it. The center of the flower, they don't open nearly as wide, but the center of the flower is yellow with more of a green hue to it. And this one, you can see the bark does provide a little more interest. Right there you can see that it is starting to flake up and peel, and this is what you get in the winter. It looks really nice. It's peeling off bark. It's not sick, it's not dying, it's not infested with bugs. That's just something that happens when it calibers up, stretches the skin, and it peels off. You can see this one here I have on a trellis, or a pole rather. I do have it on PVC because it gets brittle with age, and if I have any issues getting it out of there, I could just break it out. That's something you want to think about with wisteria. Like I said, they do get to be pretty thick. The American variety, on the other hand, isn't going to be as intense, but you will either want to give it something that's going to last, because the Japanese and Chinese varieties can last up to 50 years, it says. I'm pretty sure they can go a lot longer than that, but that's what they give as an expected lifeline. These ones, they don't really tell you online. I don't know. I do like the fact that it is an American variety. I mean, we do have some pretty plants, and I'd like to showcase them here and there. So I do have plants from neighboring states. I order most of my things, so that's how I get them. Our local nurseries don't really have too great a selection. They kind of just order in bulk, and you get a cookie cutter order. That was hard to say. But like I said, I do like varying things in my garden. So I do have things from neighboring states and just stuff I found online that I think's a little interesting or is different. Now most of my things I do grow from either cuttings or small divisions. This was just a root sucker, and the guy who I got it from said it wouldn't do anything and it was a different variety than the mother plant, that it was just a graft onto some wild root or something. I tried pointing out a couple of reasons why I didn't think that was the case, and he said I was crazy and it wasn't worth my time. But here we go, and I have a nice little wisteria. Now these ones, in my experience online, it says they go from 5 to 9 as far as zones are concerned. I did have it die down twice, so this is, I'd say, about its 4th year. But if we go down here to the bottom, you can see where it is thicker, and it used to have a shoot going straight up. This one comes off the side. And their blooms are staggered, just not nearly as much as the Japanese variety. And you can see the length on them is only about 4 to 5 inches, if that. It's not very huge or impressive, but it does the job. It brings the bees and the butterflies, and you can see there's probably some ants on it that are trying to collect some nectar too. So those are the main differences as far as I know. One grows 30 feet, one grows 100 feet. Smaller flowers, different scent, less invasive, though it is said to reproduce by seeds, so if you can, keep the seeds off. It is poisonous. You will want to check most of your plants to see, or all of them I'd say, if they're poisonous or not. And if you do have pets or children who get into things, you might want to take that into consideration, either put it further or keep it in an area that's restricted. You don't want accidents. I hope this helps and gives you a little insight as to the differences between the wisteria. This one is called Texas wisteria, Kentucky wisteria. There's a bunch of names for it, and there are a few American varieties. They have been started to play with crossbreeding and stuff too, so you're not stuck with one version. I do like it. It's smaller, it's nice to tuck into a flower bed, easier to control as far as growth is. I do still get whips on this that are 5 to 6 feet before I cut them, and by doing so they do reproduce more flowers, so that's always nice. If you let it grow on a wall or a fence, or just let it vine out, I don't know that it will bloom so much, but pruning does help. Thank you for watching.